What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. Because today, Victoria and I, we're going to be jumping into season 2 of Bad Batch, returning to Disney Plus January 4th, where you're going to have 2 episodes dropping that day and a new episode dropping weekly. And for all you Star Wars fans, I know you've been waiting for and highly anticipating the return of Bad Batch, which has been one of their most popular, but I would say one of their best animated shows since the launch of the new slate of shows on Disney Plus. Which in fact, going into season 2, I had a lot of questions, but a lot of questions was answered. But I thought this was a fantastic season as we got to check out the first 14 episodes, which in that case leaves us with still 2 more we need to watch, which I really can't wait, because I'll just say it now, the 14th episode leaves you on the cliffhanger that's just not fair. It's really not fair to us, but you know, we're thankful for the opportunity to check out the first 14. But again, yeah, folks, you can check out Bad Batch season 2 premiere exclusively on Disney Plus January 4th. You're getting the first 2 episodes and the new episode weekly. Victoria, how are you doing today? How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling that, like we said, that cliffhanger. I know. Can't wait to check out the rest. But
for sure.
Yeah.
So you know, to kind of start things off in terms of the animated side of Lucasfilms and animated side of just Star Wars, period. What's always been sort of your feel about Bad Batch? We can even go back to when it was announced, and then ultimately going into season 2, what was sort of your thoughts and emotions?
Yeah, I mean, my mind when I found out about it being announced, there were a lot of questions that we were left with this last season. There were also a lot of characters from other parts of the universe and other shows that I wanted more stories from. You know, before I watched this, things that came up for me. You know, I always love Harrison Dola, who's also in the other. Oh my gosh, it's escaping. It's escaping me. But yeah, I love her character, Rebels, and her and Chopper. It was fun to get to see that in the first season, and I think that's something that's fun about Bad Batch, is that within this timeline we're able to check out and see what other characters are doing, or get little bits and pieces from, you know, where these clones are now and how they're trying to pick up the pieces after Order 66 of what they're doing. So I would say overall too, now that I've seen it, I enjoyed this second season even better than the first, I think. Yeah,
I think you brought up one of my biggest parts of what I just really am loving the most about Star Wars outside of the Skywalker saga is just knowing just being able to explore so much more of the galaxy, and knowing with so many different characters that we've been introduced you know, earlier in our Star Wars fandoms, whether you were, you know, watching Rebels or Clone Wars or anything, knowing that they're actually filling in the gaps with all of this new content. So I think what I was just completely optimistic about was what was going to be the new thing that I learned coming from season 1 going into season 2, and the fact that we are picking up immediately after season 1 and what happened on the events of Kamino. I just couldn't help but to think like, oh yeah, because there's definitely a really big question that I had, especially if you've never watched any of the animated series. Matter of fact, I could also mention, if you just truly just want to jump in right now to season 2, and you've watched all of the live action Star Wars stuff, I think that like you're going to be really surprised about some of the information and connectivity to that. And I think that's what's really been good with you know, all of the Star Wars content in the Disney Plus era, and all of the new different shows that they're coming up with. So, you know, I definitely enjoy this the season, and I enjoyed the season because it gave you a lot of emotions. There were some really heartfelt moments, definitely some deep emotional moments, some good action, and just some really family friendly ones. When and the entire show is family friendly, but I mean, like this one where you just kind of just sat back and like nothing really went wrong. It was just actually a sigh of relief that there wasn't no turmoil, and like I appreciate that. So for the moments of like, you know, the utmost trouble and should I say moments where not only was the crew with their back against the wall, but the audience, you kind of sitting back wondering like, okay, where does this go from here? I think there was just a lot of different emotions in this season that kept each and every episode very interesting. And I also will say that I felt like even not seeing the last 2 episodes, I felt like the sort of just the crescendo of storytelling, because like once we got to like, and I believe, let me actually take a quick look at my notes here, because I believe once we got to like the very middle of the episode, and I believe my favorite episode was okay, so episode 4 and 5 and 6 for me, which for us is like halfway through everything that we've seen, was some of the most insane moments of this season. And the fact that like it kind of led up to that, and then we kind of went back down in terms of like other things being more chill and whatnot. I just thought like the pacing of this season was done really, really good as well. So expect the unexpected, expect some returning faces, expect some jaw-dropping revelations, and much like I was looking for, expect some pieces to the puzzle in terms of gaps and things that you probably didn't have answers to. So I really enjoyed the season.
Yeah, and I'll add to that the sci-fi of it all, the questions that we might have had around what happens to the clones after the war is over, and you know what are they supposed to do? They're not soldiers anymore. Yeah. Also Omega and who she is and how she fits into this, and she's a kid, but also it was mentioned in the last season that she's older than all of Troop 99. So it's just so it's interesting, and there's a lot, and we get into even questions that I didn't know I had about where they fit into the galaxy now. So
yeah. Now I'm glad you brought up Omega, because I think when you look at a character such as Omega, I think that like she sometimes can be, you know, sort of a bystander to the rest of the troops here, but like understanding how important this character is by notion of what you said from last season, but also going into this season and how things sort of get away from Omega at times, but truly does come full circle, especially as you get deeper and deeper into the season. But there's absolutely some amazing moments with Omega, and I will also say alongside the tech that I just really enjoyed in this. I like the bond that was growing as well too. So yeah, you see, that's the fluffy moments of things because there was other
She's
moments.
The heart.
Yeah, that's
she's the heart of the show. Yeah,
entirely it. But I mentioned, you know, episode 5 and 6 of this season was 2 of my favorite. Where were you kind of feeling in terms of episodes that just really did it for you?
Besides those, I gotta say, I really had a lot of fun with episode 4. It wasn't a whole lot in terms of the story of the entire season, but it was a fun throwback that had for me. And I know I'll have people who don't agree with me, but I did love in episode 1 the pod racing of it all.
Yeah.
And we'll just say that like it brings up some of those feelings there of just those kinds of sequences. So
yeah. I mean, I think that I think when it comes to Lucasfilm's animation, that, you know, there is a certain level of quality in terms of expectation and delivery, and to really tiptoe on on this statement, there is some very high cinematic moments this season that I was really blown away by the animation. That obviously by watching this, you know, screen, this is very, you know, 2D sort of dynamic here, but God, if I didn't feel like it was 4D for a moment, you just kind of felt really immersed in some of the action. And I kind of felt myself kind of engaging in it a little bit. But I thought the animation really stepped it up in a couple of episodes. Everything else is pretty much standard to what you got in, the previous season and other series. But there was a few episodes in this I was just kind of like, yeah, this is really, really good, really fun, and just on the edge of your seat. So, and
it brings back that action that we loved throughout the whole Clone Wars series as well. Yeah. Some of those huge sequences that really, it's so much easier, not easier, but the sky is the limit when it comes to animation. So they definitely take advantage of the medium.
Yeah, sure. No doubt. Yeah. To also throw it to you, I mean, when you talk about this season and all, you say you felt like this is much better than season 1. What else do you think were like very big standout parts and moments of this season worth noting?
Yeah, I think that there were some questions of the politics of the world that have to do with the clones that came
Reading
up.
My notes, I was going to say
exactly. We're on the same page. Mm-hmm. It also felt like it was in a lighter vein of the tone that we got in Andor as well, with some of those questions. Yeah. Of what is right, what is wrong. How do we need to be treating these humans, and what are their rights? And I love getting into all that.
Yeah. We thought about the voice acting this season.
There were some fun cameos. That's for sure. Also, I would say, I mean, there was, everyone was so great. There's one voice that came up in episode 4 that I thought was just hilarious, and that was part of the reason it was one of my favorite episodes. And I don't know, I want to hear, what do you think? What did you think about it?
I think the biggest thing for me is the continuity with voice acting. It's always that familiarity in terms of the casting for these folks, very much making these characters their own. So folks who in characters that have moved or will or could or will appear in different shows. Just the fact that everything stays within the family. But yeah, I do agree. The surprises, and I think the biggest thing for me, what I really love about voice acting, and primarily in coverage of Star Wars content, is being surprised at casting that I was just like, wow. I did not, to guess wrong is like some of the best feeling for me. We're like, oh, I think that's that person, and it ends up not being that person. Like, wow, just fantastic job. So I think, beyond that, I think that when it comes to voice acting, especially, and let me, because I keep forgetting, I keep saying remember, but the voice actor who voices Omega, when you talk about heart, the heart in the performance as well too, can't help but to feel and really side with Omega's really the maturing of her over this season. And although you talk about age and whatnot, it's still a big learning curve to everything around him, and much like kids, finds herself in trouble, but finds herself completely optimistic to the big world around her. And I think like the voice acting with Omega, and I cannot think of her name, but I just think that like did such a good job in keeping the audience really Rhea Perlman, who just really just I'm sorry no it's
Rhea Perlman was Sid. Yeah
I'm sorry, Michelle Aang from Fear the Walking Dead, by the way, too. But like just really keeping us invested by just the voice acting alone. And bringing up Rhea, oh boy, Sid. So
Sid is back, yeah. And also D. Bradley Baker, I mean, I keep thinking he's gonna run out of clone voices, and he just doesn't. It's incredible what he does with making it sound like it's the same, you know, clone being, but just they each have their own nuances, and it's just so I love hearing what he comes up with.
Yeah. So to contradict the statement I said, now there are folks actually coming into characters that had already been introduced, but also making their debut in this series. I'm not going to give that away, but expect to hear new voice actors with characters you are familiar with, and I will kind of throw you in the fire a little bit here, but you know, being the Star Wars addict that you are, how exciting is it to you to see characters come from other shows in this show, and just the lust to want to go back and really bring everything full circle for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's anytime we're getting new content, we're looking for those Easter eggs, right? And I feel like we've gotten some here for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm trying to we're not on the same page here. I'm like trying to think of what is Nature referring
to? Yeah, it's again, because to be completely fair to you, and I think
Sure.
that in terms of preparing for coverage in this, you know, you tend to want to go back to possibly fill in your own gaps here. And it's not to say there's anything wrong with the storytelling, but you do go back to wonder when the first time a character may have been introduced, or you know,
yes,
understanding the landscape of currently what's happening in the story by actually going back to seeing where other characters may have came from. So I think about a couple of characters that appear this season, who are known characters, and then you start to think like, okay, the first time that we've seen that character, what was sort of the dynamic here? And then obviously, I mean, still considering we're still in post Order 66 here. Now you should know exactly where I'm going at with this.
Yes.
Yeah. Just understanding.
It took me a second.
Just understanding. God, what an amazing episode that was. I'm thinking about too.
Yeah.
Just the more and more you get more answers to questions, the more and more questions you create for yourself by wanting to go back deeper into the lore to kind of see things really fit together. There was a couple of moments in this that definitely had me thinking like, okay, yeah, I absolutely need to go back and check out or rewatch, you know, whether season 1 or going back to Rebels or even Clone Wars. And also, what did we just watch? What's the name of the other one? The shorts, the anthology one. I can't think of the name of it that quick.
Yes, Tales of the Jedi.
Tales of the Jedi, which now makes me say there's absolutely additional story that can be told, considering what they did with that as well too. I just at this point now I just feel like there's no way of any of this to ever end, because this is so much for them to work with, and it doesn't feel. It never feels like a reach to me, or just feel like it's just unnecessary. Everything feels like it has some significance, whether you're learning more about the politics, more about particular characters, more about different worlds. Just so much more to learn, and even new creatures, and even more things that Disney can merchandise. All that is thrown into this season.
There's just so many doors, and even if it's just like a sentence in an episode, there's so many doors that they're leaving open to tell new stories that are references that'll jog your brain, just like you're saying, like from the other shows, from the other parts of the story. And you know what, like, and I still have so many questions that came up around Omega too, of where her story is going, and what is you know, what her talents and capabilities are, because she's still presumably young, right? And still learning and still training, and in many different ways, with her family, we'll call it. And there were questions that I had last season that I still have, that I'm still trying to figure out. But we'll see. It's exciting.
Anything else that you want to cover that I may not have thrown to you? Because I'm trying to think. I feel like there's something else I want to ask you, but it's completely going over my mind right now. Is there any other particular parts of this second season you want to spotlight?
Yeah. I mean, I will go back to, you talked a little bit about family. And I think that's the other part of this story that I love this season, that last season with everyone with Omega being introduced to the crew, we didn't get too much of yet, but now we're getting the dynamics of her with each of the clones in 99, and her relationships to them, the connections that she has to them, and it actually, and it's pushing each of them, and it's just interesting to see that in this family of, and even though they are the Bad Batch, there's still clones, but then they still are individuals. So just seeing those dynamics at play, and what family means, and all of that, I thought was really, that was a really lovely thing to track throughout all the episodes that we got to see.
Yeah.
How that all evolved. Yeah.
I think too that when you look across this family of the five of them, it's hard to, I guess it's easy to kind of look at like Wrecker and just like it's a muscle, and sometimes not always there but still so much heart. I mean, I think there was a lot of moments in this season I was just like, man, like no matter what it is, even the muscle is there in the moments that they need them to be, and really delivers that camaraderie amongst them. But
some great one-liners from Wrecker too.
Oh, absolutely.
Whoever was writing all of those, kudos.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Tech, I again will come off as the irritable dad at times. And Crosshair, okay. It's gonna be a season, I will say. But yeah, as I mentioned, we're gonna, this entire season you will have familiar faces, you will have some folks that you have recognized, both new and returning, possibly, and completely new. This is a lot of different things going on. I think the first, I can't remember if it's the first or the second episode, but it's definitely a major moment in terms of just I guess biggest mysteries for me, but like a character for sure that I think that everyone will recognize, but just understanding their involvement, and again, I think coming from out of season one and everything that happened in Kamino, and still understanding the relevance of Kamino, and actually the resolve, not the resolve, but the results of that, and where it goes next, and then the political aspect to it as well too. It's a lot. It's really hard to talk about this without spoilers.
It's so hard, and there's still so much speculation too, because I feel like the breadcrumbs are all there.
Yeah,
but we can, even if we couldn't talk about it.
Yeah,
but it's great. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see where it goes.
Yeah. Well, unless there's any other comments, do you have any other comments?
I think I'm good with what we can talk about for now.
Yeah. I'm like, God, I got like major things. I just like, yeah, I want to bring that up, but yeah, I'm looking to, I don't know. No. Yeah, I pretty much bounced around. Yeah, I guess just like I got in my notes, man, there's a ton of cliffhangers in this. So be ready. And I think that's where I'm about to leave you all, is just be ready for a lot of cliffhangers, because as they go from mission to mission, And sometimes some of these missions seem to just kind of be like, you know, side quest in the RPG. They're absolutely completely relevant because, much like Victoria said, it could be one line that is said in the episode and you're just like, wait, what? And it just changes everything. And frankly, that one liner may not be relevant for a couple of episodes, but it's certainly going to be mentioned or brought back up by the end. And that's a couple of things where I was thinking like, wait, what was the significance of that? And certainly later on, it's like, I see. And the biggest thing I think to take from this season is understanding Omega's relevance to everyone, Omega's maturity and growth in this, and I think you know, obviously everything since they've been on the run since Order 66, and I think that just understanding that you know, everyone's not eye to eye with the Empire here, and how that conflict is still very prominent on so many different scales up and down the board. So you're going to see heroes in some of the smallest places, and it's just a fun ride. Oh, and I guess this should be very go without being said, but you're definitely going to visit some worlds that you're completely familiar with. There was one that really kind of surprised me, and I was just like, I did not think we would ever have to come to this place again. But yeah, you will. So that's.
And I'm going to say the last thing for the internet. Okay.
Yeah, give it to him.
I really, Omega's character really grew on me this season.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, she didn't have me that first season. I was along for the ride, like I always am. I'm not gonna. I want to see something all the way through before I totally judge it. But she really did grow on me this season. So that was really cool to see.
Yeah. Agreed. Folks, Bad Batch is premiering exclusively on Disney Plus January 4th. 2 episodes and a new episode weekly, totaling up to 16 episodes. We still got 2 more to watch. We got to check out the first 14. You can let us know your thoughts in the comments as the weeks go by. You can drop all the spoilers you want down there. Then I can respond, because once you've seen them, then it means it's released. But get ready for the first 2 episodes, because it completely sets the tone. And it's just only going to get more crazier. And I think for all of the big Star Wars fans, it's going to be a lot for this. But folks who are just looking for something else new to watch, I think you're going to have a lot of fun, because there's a lot of heart, good action, an emotional roller coaster, up and down moments. But nonetheless, it has a lot of family to it, so you will enjoy. But until our next review and recap, y'all stick around, jump in the comments, let us know your thoughts about this one, and y'all be safe. Happy New Year's, and we will see you soon.